The Marvels has just come out, maybe like a week ago or so. And yeah, it's basically what we all expected, and it wasn't good. That's it. This movie was just not good. So if you guys have not seen the movie and you guys don't want spoilers, don't watch this video. There will be spoilers in it. There will be spoilers on the title, so you guys are already going to know that. But just to get right into the plot, and then I'll let you know my positives and my negatives of the movie. So the main part of the movie, and what we've seen in the trailer, is that these three superheroes, Monica Rambeau, Miss Marvel, and Captain Marvel, are all connected somehow. They touch something, and now they're just all connected. And every time they use their powers, they all switch to each other's place, right? And so, after looking at the trailer, I thought to myself, that's a pretty unique idea, kind of seeing how that would work in a movie and then seeing how that would work for their storyline. Because obviously that was going to be like the main part of the storyline. Seemed like an interesting idea. It was an interesting idea. And in my opinion, it was the only part of the movie itself, of an actual movie from beginning to finish before the credits. That's probably the only part where I actually enjoyed. Because it was a unique way to show how they would fight. And to start from the positives, the fighting scenes. The fighting scenes, in my opinion, were pretty good. It wasn't the best, obviously, but the fact that they can travel to wherever they were when they use their powers at the same time, that's pretty cool. That's something that we've never seen before. Now, another thing that I liked in this movie was the CGI wasn't that bad either. You could nitpick and say that, okay, CGI didn't work here or just didn't look as flawless here. But in my opinion, it looked like a good movie. Cinematography wise, I thought it looked good. And that's something that I think they had to have done right with this movie, because, it's taking place like in space and stuff like that and different planets. So you have to make it look good, right? And I think they did. They did have a lot of time to work on this movie, but hey, sometimes they don't get the CGI right. Sometimes they do. And in my opinion, I think they did for the most part. Now, to continue with the positives, the MVP of this movie, I believe, is Miss Marvel. Just the way how she fights with her powers, I just think it looks incredibly cool. And even seeing it in her own show, even though I didn't really like her show that much, I did like the character itself. And now in this movie, she brings this, type of energy out that no one else has. Monica doesn't have the energy that she does, and Captain Marvel as well. Because you got Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau basically beefing, right? So because Captain Marvel hasn't really seen or visited Monica Rambeau in this movie, and now she's kind of like mad or sad, whatever the case may be, right? But Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, she really brought this movie out. I don't think this movie would have been as good, or for where it's at, I don't think it would have been good if they didn't have Kamala Khan in here, because she was the MVP of the movie. So MVP goes out to Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. Now, another positive in this movie is Nick Fury, but the only reason why I'll say Nick Fury is a positive is because we get to see a familiar face. Now, I've heard that in this movie, I don't know, Nick Fury, he is a little bit off, I guess, compared to how he would act in Avengers 1, Avengers 2, you know what I mean? So he is a little bit different, and he is different than what we've seen him in his own show, Secret Invasion, right? And I don't know, but the vibe that I got off of Nick Fury was that he was totally confident in where he was, and the fact that he knew nothing was going to go wrong in the movie. So he kind of gave you this cocky but confident vibe to it, and which I kind of liked, but that's just my opinion on Nick Fury. I think definitely if they didn't have Nick Fury in the movie, it wouldn't have been as interesting like if you didn't have Miss Marvel in the movie as well. So positives, Miss Marvel, the dynamic between the three superheroes and the way they just teleport and use all their powers, and Nick Fury. I think those are the positives in this movie. Now, let me get down to the negatives, because there's negatives. So to start off with the negatives, I just did not care for any of the characters, except for probably Miss Marvel. But other than that, I did not care. These characters didn't make me feel anything. They didn't make me feel sad, mad, happy. It was just nothing. There was nothing that I felt for any of these characters, and not I didn't even care about it. Like I really didn't. I mean, that's just my take on how these characters were represented and how they were represented to us. And I really couldn't care less. I mean, when you have a movie and you don't care about the main characters at least, I mean, there's nothing there. There's nothing special about the movie. And there wasn't any real danger. There wasn't any like high stakes with this movie. Nobody was going to die. There was just, I mean, I get it. It's just a solo movie. It's not like a big Avenger movie, but still, you didn't feel anything for anybody. And just to come out and say it, another negative is just the writing. I think the writing was just bad. I mean, there was nothing, as I said before, there was nothing interesting in the movie. They could have come up with something a little bit more better. Like if they made, like honestly, it comes down to the villain with me, because in my opinion, another negative of this movie was the villain. Not interesting to me as well. It just wasn't good. It's kind of like how in Thor, The Dark World, right? The villain, the Dark Elf. You really didn't feel anything for him either. He was just bad. That's it, right? He was forgettable. Let's just say that. Forgettable movie, forgettable villain. And that's because if your villain is forgettable and is not interesting, there's nothing that you kind of, I guess, relate to, then it's not going to be good. And in this case, although I get why she became the villain, was because Captain Marvel just destroyed the sun, I guess, in a way, by destroying the intelligence, right? I mean, you kind of get it, but you don't feel anything for her. You don't feel anything for the planet. You get her motive. I just forgot her name. The villain, the main villain. I'll put a picture up here, but so forgettable that I just forget her name. I mean, and also people are saying that it is a knockoff of Ronin because she has like the same weapon that he had, which was, with the hammer and stuff like that. If you don't have a good villain, if you don't have a villain that people love, then the movie won't be as good. I'm just nitpicking here now, but just some scenes I didn't like and that took too much time. It's such a ridiculous scene, but it was the cat scene I thought was just like I was just thinking to myself, like, what am I watching here? Like this, just all the cats and their big idea, their big plan was for all the cats just to eat all the people that were there in that ship, right? And so I was just thinking, I was like what's going on, man? You know what I mean? And with that comes the singing planet that I think that we just did not need, like, at all. Like, it's a more common trend with Marvel nowadays is that they feel the need to add comedy into these Marvel movies, right? And I just thought that it just wasn't needed at all. Although the character or I guess the king of that planet, of the singing planet, I thought he was cool. He even looked cool when he was fighting. So I guess that's the positive. And this movie has a lot more negative than it does positive, for sure. So yeah, there's just, in my opinion, this movie was just bad. I mean, it was so mid. But I can see why maybe some people would like the movie just because, I mean, the main three, the dynamic between all of them, This is something fresh, something new that we've seen. It's something unique that we've never seen before with them teleporting. I mean, I get that. Now, I will say that only part of this movie where I actually was excited to see in the whole movie was the end credits. And that was when Beast came out. And he was there with Monica Rambeau, right? That was the only scene where I found super interesting and something that I was like, whoa, okay, this is something, we're getting something new now. And plus, it was an X-Men member. Obviously, Marvel are bringing in X-Men, maybe for like Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty, right? They're bringing in these new characters and they have to introduce them somehow, right? And so that's the way they introduced him. And I know people are going to say that the CGI on Beast was just terrible. But to me, I didn't really care that much just because the whole movie was a letdown for me. That Beast, just seeing Beast there in a Marvel movie, in an MCU movie, was just enough for me just to like that over the whole movie. I mean, it was the best part in my opinion. So yeah, guys, that is basically how I felt about the movie. It just wasn't good. On a scale of Morbius to 10, I would probably give it like a 5 or a 6, and that's being generous too. So I mean, I think Marvel's got a lot to work on here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Let me know if you guys just did not like this movie, or let me know if you did like the movie, and also let me know why. Because although I didn't like it, I know there's people out there that do, and they do have their reasons, and they're entitled to their opinion, and hey, so am I, and I didn't like it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. It's been Jeremy, and I'll see you guys in the next video.